Welcome back to a new episode of Jock Talk Podcast. Matt, along with me, Brock. How we doing, Matt?
Fantastic. Beautiful day. Podcasting, mock drafting.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
I got some steak downstairs marinating in the fridge too. So
sounds like a good day. Crack open a nice cold Miller Lite.
Coca-Cola kind of day.
Oh, too much last night. That's what I hear.
It's never too much. I mean, there is such a thing as too much, but just
not
Coca-Cola.
For us.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But
Coca-Cola and a ribeye. But back on track here.
Back on track. This is our full first round mock draft 2.0. Last time Matt got the odds, I got the evens. This time we're flipping around. I get the odds, he gets the evens. But I mean, everybody knows the draft order. I don't think we're going to do any trades again, just for the time being. But let's dive right into it. Consensus number one overall pick. I think it's pretty obvious. Trevor Lawrence. No explanation.
Picker for
needed.
Miami, number one, Brock. That's a terrible idea. Come on, man.
Trevor Lawrence. Rumors have it that they've already given him his Jaguars playbook. So, easy pick there.
And again, we mentioned it. If you guys haven't already, check out our Packers specific mock draft. It'll be posted on the Twitter machine, on the YouTube, Facebook, wherever you follow us. Take a listen. This is not what we think will happen. This is what we would do if we were the general manager. There's different thought processes in between. For example, the Jets, all things that are out there have them taking Zach Wilson number 2. I don't. I think Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft. So Justin Fields goes number 2 to the 49ers.
I definitely agree with that. I think I had him as well at number 2. Then that was before Sam Darnold officially got traded. So, I think Justin Fields should go number 2. I would do that as well. Number 3, I'm going Zach Wilson. 49ers need a quarterback. Or want a quarterback, don't necessarily need a quarterback, but I think Zach Wilson could add wrinkles to that 49ers offense, which could send them to the top of their division.
All right, Zach Wilson, quarterback, BYU to the 49ers. This is where the draft gets dicey.
You go anyway, and you're not wrong, pretty much type deal.
Yes. The Falcons could mess it up, but, we're not projecting trades here. We're just sticking with the teams at the positions where they're at. In our Packers mock draft, we did go through and do trades, but with this one, we're sticking to teams where they're at. It's already actually who's getting picked. So the Atlanta Falcons, with me as the GM, go with Trey Lance. Yes, they could go Penei Sewell. They could go Kyle Pitts. They could go Jamar Chase. But Trey Lance has one of the highest potential upsides for quarterbacks in this draft class. He's also one of the ones who's probably going to need the most time. Matt Ryan, he's getting old, but he's not done yet. It's not a Phil Rivers type situation, but I think Trey Lance learns from a veteran quarterback. So Trey Lance, number 4 to the Falcons.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we have the same top 4. But at 5, the Bengals, I would go Kyle Pitts. I think he is the best athlete in this draft class. You can line him up at tight end. You can line him up at wide receiver, slot. I mean, he's a jack of all trades. Does everything well, goes up, gets the ball, runs fast as fast can be. Does a little bit of everything well, and I think once Joe Burrow comes back, it just adds even more to that Bengals offense, and for their future, I think it's a great piece.
Yeah. At 6, we have the Dolphins. If Kyle Pitts is there, I think I would have, without a doubt, have taken Kyle Pitts. But I go with one of the top 3 players probably in the entire draft here. I'm going Penei Sewell from Oregon. Get Tua some protection. A lot of people, why not Jamar Chase? Well, I don't think Brian Flores wants it to be a throwing system. If they could win games 17-10, I think that's what they would do. And it's just all about protecting the quarterback, still up front. So I'm going at number 6, Penny Sewell, to the Dolphins.
Yeah. And you said this last time we did the mock draft. Lions should
Run
be
it up.
running it up. And I think they go to Jamar Chase. Easy. Best wide receiver on the board. I don't think it's close. Size, speed, hands, you name it, he's got it. And he could torment the Packers for the next however long.
Yeah. So Brock and I, we did this little exercise earlier. We're doing it again now. Earlier, I believe we went Rashawn Slater here. I am actually going to switch it up. I'm going with Patrick Surtain, the cornerback from Alabama. I think the Panthers need a second corner on their team. I don't know if Sam Darnold is going to bounce back. I don't know if picking Jalen Waddle or getting protection for him with Rashawn Slater is going to help him that much. So I'm going with the pick that probably helps the most long term, with Patrick Surtain from Alabama.
Yeah, I think he's day one, top 2 cornerback on your team.
Yeah.
And sky's the limit for him. He's one of my favorite corners in this draft, and I think he's instant production out of him. But number 9, Broncos. Again, I think this is a pretty easy pick. I think it's a consensus pick. All the mock drafts I've seen as well. I'd be shocked if they don't go Micah Parsons, but I am going Micah Parsons. I would 100% go there for the Broncos.
All right, so we have the Dallas Cowboys up. I know in previous mock drafts, I think in almost everyone we've done, we've had Patrick Surtain falling to them and them picking him. Without him there, do I pick from a fantasy standpoint and just go Jalen Waddle and have the most outrageous, talented receiving core of almost all time?
With Dak coming back.
Yep, Dak coming back. Do I go offensive lineman? They got Tyron Smith getting old and a lot of issues along the offensive line. But I think overall the Cowboys need to stick with the DB. So J.C. Horn, the second cornerback of a former NFL player, off the board in the first round to the Cowboys.
I'm a little shocked by that one, just because I feel like I would probably protect Dak a little more. I think Slater being there would be huge. Here, now you switched it up on me a little bit. So the Giants, you threw me off. I think I'm gonna stick with it. I think I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna go Elijah Vera Tucker. I do like Slater, but I just think I like Vera Tucker for the Giants. They need more of a guard anyways. Vera Tucker can move across the line, but I think fit-wise, Vera Tucker is more their style.
With the falling, again, it's switching things up a little bit. Previous, I think we've either had Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle falling to the Eagles every single draft, but the Eagles need basically everything. I don't think they can pass up Rashawn Slater at 12. So with the 12th pick, the Eagles go with Rashawn Slater from Northwestern.
Yeah. Now, with all this stuff that we're switching around now, it makes it a little bit tougher on the Chargers, because I think I had the Chargers picking. I don't remember who I had them pick now, but now, I mean, with all this wide receiver talent still there, it's tough not to pick somebody for them. But their biggest position of need is a tackle, and Christian Darrisaw fits that perfectly, and I would go Darrisaw. Even though the talent at wide receiver, it's undeniable. I think they just go their team. I would go team need more so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. That's a tough one I had to pass up on with
Yeah.
Waddle and Devonta Smith, and I that's tough.
So
That was a tough one for me.
you passed up on Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith. The Vikings, do they need a receiver? I mean, who doesn't need a receiver? But to partner Jalen Waddle with Justin Jefferson as young studs, and then you have the crafty veteran Adam Thielen, young Irv Smith, this guy named Dalvin Cook. It's one of those I don't know if they could pass up on either of the Bama receivers here. So I'm going Jalen Waddle.
Now, that makes it even harder on me for the Patriots. But I think it's Belichick's way or no way. I'm going Mac Jones. You don't have to trade up for him. So there's that.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. A guy who a lot of teams, again, this is what we would do, not what we're projecting would happen. But rumors have it that the Niners want him at 3 for some reason. I think in real life, a team has to trade up for whoever the 5th quarterback is, whether if it's Mac Jones, Trey Lance, or Justin Fields. I think a team trades up into the top 11 or 12 to get that last of the first round quarterback. So, so the Cardinals, a lot of moves this offseason, obviously, but a lot of signing between J.J. Watt. They just signed James Conner, but they let go 2 of the better players in franchise history between Patrick Peterson and I believe Larry Fitzgerald is now a free agent, probably going to retire.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So with this pick, earlier, I'm going to stick with it. I am going with the second best player available. So combination of team need and BPA, but I'm going with the linebacker from Notre Dame, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think, they lost Hassan Reddick as well, but he's just he's a defensive difference maker. Just like, their first round pick from last year, Isaiah Simmons. You just pick them and find a way to play them.
Mm-hmm. And that's when the Cardinals played their best football, is when they found Isaiah Simmons on the field.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah, it took them only like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Now the Raiders. Ooh. Devonta Smith on the board for the Raiders is so tough, but the Raiders, they do need a wide receiver. They need a lot though.
Tackle, linebacker, interior offensive lineman, safety.
Yeah. Being this far down, I don't think I could pass up on Devonta Smith. I don't think I could do it. Yeah, I can't pass up on him any further.
All right, the Dolphins at 18 would have definitely swiped up on him.
Yep. That's kind of looking at that too. I was like, if he doesn't go there, you're going to pick him next. But I having him fall this far, I think is almost criminal. Maybe not. Just how everything else fell. I think that's a solid pick for the Raiders. I mean, they do need a lot more elsewhere, but to have Devonta Smith, I think, is just kind of a gift.
Yeah. So at this point for me, it's between 2 guys. Again, this is what I would do, so I'm going to go with it. But, running, you don't pick running backs in the first round. You can find running backs in the 3rd round. Coming from a Packers fan, you would think that we would think that's true, or at least Aaron Jones.
You partially believe that.
Yes, but Najee Harris is just a different animal. So at 18, I'm going Najee Harris, running back, Alabama, to the Dolphins.
Now the football team. At 19.
Washington Potatoes.
So, discussed this earlier. I think they continue to build their strength, which is a defensive line. And I think Christian Barmore would just take that D line and make them one of the most unstoppable forces in the league. Chase Young on the outside, young budding star, and then you bring in Barmore on that. I think that just brings it gives you something to be scared about, especially in the NFC East, where you don't really know what's going to happen. At least like who's the best quarterback in that that division. It's kind of like, well, somebody. So as long as you pressure, if that's the most consistent thing you have, is consistent pressure, I think that could easily win you the NFC East. So I'm going Christian Barmore.
All right. So with this next pick for me, I don't think the Bears pick here. I think they either trade down or trade up. But with it being the way that we're doing it, I am going with Caleb Farley. I think he's a top 10 player in the draft. He's falling because of injury history and scares, but Caleb Farley is the pick for me.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't pick a punter there, but whatever.
Could have.
Should have. But anyways, I mean, I didn't do it. I also picked Caleb Farley for them. 21, Colts. Colts need a lot. Not necessarily a lot, but there's kind of just big holes there to fill. And
they did have their left tackle retire this offseason.
I am going Azeez Ojulari, edge rusher out of Georgia. I think him and DeForest Buckner now in the middle. I think that could be another great defensive line for the future. Especially they have a good corner or good linebackers, young corners, and then that now they're rebuilding that offense. I think the Colts could be a scary team next year. They could make a lot of noise, and we'll see what they can do.
Yeah. This next pick, the Titans lost or let go of their top two corners from last year between Adoree Jackson and Malcolm Butler. They brought in Janoris Jenkins, who's been washed up for a couple years now. So with this pick, I know it's one of your favorites here, Brock. Again, in our attempt to do this mock draft earlier, I believe this is who you had, the Green Bay Packers taking. The Tennessee Titans at number 22 will go with Greg Newsome, the second cornerback from Northwestern. That's two Northwestern players picked in the first round.
Yeah, you don't usually hear that.
That's insane.
Son of a bitch. Switching things up on me all the time.
Yes, I am.
But that's the draft, though. You know,
yep.
If we're comfortable, you never know what's going to happen. So 23, maybe is payback for what I did here for you earlier. I could see that. 23, Jets brought in weapons, obviously, bring in Justin Fields. Now to add Corey Davis, give the offense more firepower, and Travis Etienne. The Jets were buyers for running backs this offseason, didn't really hit any. So for them to bring in Travis Etienne, top quality running back. I mean, a lot of people have him going before Najee Harris. I know we both like Najee Harris before him, but I mean, Etienne's right there with him, I think.
Earlier in our pick, I actually went out on a limb and I had Javonte Williams going to the Steelers in the first round. I think he is a Nick Chubb-esque type runner, but the Steelers need a lot of work on their offensive line. So I'm going with my best available offensive lineman for them, and we are going to go with Creed Humphrey is still there. They did lose Pouncey, but we're still going Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle from Oklahoma State. I do like Creed Humphrey and Landon Dickerson, but I think you protect the outside before you go interior, unless you have a generational type player like Quentin Nelson available, which we don't. So
not at that point, no.
Yes.
25, Jags need a little more help. Brought in a couple pieces on the offensive side. Obviously, they brought in Trevor Lawrence. But I am going Kwity Paye. He did fall a little bit. We have compared him to Rashawn Gary. They kind of had the same type of career in Michigan, whereas like they have all this potential, but they're not producing. But I think Kwity Paye is kind of along that same lines. I think he could be very good for the Jaguars, especially that young team emerging in Jacksonville. So just because I've seen a lot of people having him in the top 15.
Yep.
So for him to fall to 25, I think could potentially be one of the bigger steals of the draft. Could be.
The Cleveland Browns at 26, before they signed Jadeveon Clowney, this may have been a Joseph Asai or Jason Owe pick here. But after that signing, I think, what I would do personally is I would get a weapon opposite of Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, who knows where he's at. So with the 26th pick, the Browns go with the best overall skill position player left on the board, Rashad Bateman, wide receiver from Minnesota.
Really switching things up on me. You're really pissing me off.
The Ravens, what their team needs, wide receiver.
Wide receiver, yeah.
Yeah,
Wide receiver, and then whatever else they want.
Yep.
I mean, they also could go edge rusher, tackle, whatever. But I think with how he did in his pro day, Terrace Marshall Jr. right here out of LSU, I think it's hard not to pick him, especially with the needs at wide receiver. I mean, they brought in Sammy Watkins, but is he a true number one? I don't think so. Hollywood Brown is a streak, and that's about it. So to bring him, I think really adds a new weapon for Lamar, which could be phenomenal for him.
Yeah, I switched things up and kind of screwed myself with there because I think between Terrace Marshall or Rashad Bateman, whoever would have been available would have been a perfect pick for the Saints at 28. However, I think for them, ideally, one of the corners is there. I think for me, it is too early to go after any of the other available ones. I've seen Aaron Robinson mocked in the first round. I've seen Tyson Campbell mocked in the first round, but I think it's too early, too high for them. And then looking at the wide receivers left, Kadarius Toney, Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore, I think it's a little early for them. So I am going to go with, for the New Orleans Saints, a player to replace Trey Hendrickson, who they lost to, I believe, the Bengals, a guy who's going to line up opposite of Cam Jordan. I'm going with a massive man, Gregory Rousseau, edge rusher, defensive end from Miami of Florida.
Yeah. I mean, solid pick. And just brings more firepower to that defense, which, I mean, right next to Cameron Jordan. You can learn from him. I think that's huge. And it hits the need 100%. Now for your Green Bay Packers, our Green Bay Packers. You kind of switch things up on me, so it's not. I'm not angry about this because I mean, we picked him many times. I pick him a lot when doing my own mock drafts for the Packers. Zaven Collins. I mean, it's hard not to pick him. The only reason why earlier I had Greg Newsome is because I do like Greg Newsome that much. If he fell to 29, I think it's a must pick for the Packers. But I would not be angry whatsoever with Zaven Collins, and he's my 1AB type guy, which I think he flies around the field. Reminds me a lot of people of Brian Urlacher being 6'4", 250. Lays the lumbers. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Luke Kuechly. So that's a big name, especially in the pass coverage. He kind of baits the quarterback, thinks they're open, and he's there. So, and he's good with the ball afterwards, so he can run with it. So for him to be there at 29, I think you got to pick him. Green Bay, unless they go, if somebody somehow Surtain falls, don't expect that. But I mean, like if someone that caliber falls that far, sure, you take him over Zaven. But right, I mean, every Packers fan we know, we got to take a wide receiver here. We got to take a corner here. This is your best player available.
Yep.
100%. Yeah. There are good players if they would take him, like Trayvon Moehrig. I think he's a solid player. At 29 would be good. Creed Humphrey would be good. Jason Away would be really good.
How would you feel like, you're saying they would be really good. How would you feel if they drafted an interior lineman? Let's say they drafted Creed Humphrey, Landon Dickerson at 29 with, let's say, this same draft board. So let's say Zayvon Collins was there or Jamin Davis was there. How would you feel if they drafted an interior lineman?
So I like Jamin Davis, but I wouldn't want him in the first round. I think he's more of a second round type guy, mid second, late second. He's a good player. But if Zayvon's still there and you pick Creed Humphrey, I'm okay with it in the long run because Creed Humphrey could be a great addition. Obviously, you want to protect Aaron. You want to protect both Aarons. And you kind of want to go for the future. But I think Zayvon Collins, if he's still on the board, that's my number one guy. I would be upset for a split second.
Yeah.
But so, it's whatever.
The situation that reminds me of is the last time there was an off-ball linebacker who I wanted the Packers to pick at the end of the first round. They ended up going with an interior defensive lineman. Do you remember the situation I'm talking about, Brock?
Hang on. I do, because I remember you recorded it. You said, who?
Yep.
Who?
Yep. That would be the interior defensive lineman would be Kenny Clark, who is probably the Packers' third best defensive player right now. And over the last 3 or 4 years, overall the best, just in terms of consistency and, longevity, whatnot. Yeah. The linebacker was Miles Jack, who, he's been good, but Kenny Clark has been arguably better. I remember at the time, like, who the hell is Kenny Clark, and why did they pick a defensive tackle over Miles Jack? So, at that point, it would be me learning from my mistakes, and I would be okay with it. But like Zayvon Collins is from a realistic Packers point, he is my number one target, my favorite player who they have a legitimate shot at possibly getting. So.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of mock drafts getting him from 23 to 39.
I've seen him as high as mid-teens.
Have you?
I have, yeah. Okay.
So I'd be upset if he went that high.
Right.
If we see Zayvon Collins go, Green Bay Packers our luck, he's going to go 28. It's someone who we target a lot is Zayvon Collins. We target. Who else do we target a lot? Mostly Zayvon, really, honestly, at that part right now.
Zayvon, or if any of the receivers fall.
Bateman's, I've seen fall to us a little bit. So, I mean, yeah, it's tough not to pick Zayvon at 29 if he's on the board, as long as there's good, or not your top tier wide receivers that low.
Yeah. So, moving on, finishing up the last 3 picks of the first round mock draft 2.0 here. The Buffalo Bills. I'm gonna go with Jason Owa. He is flying up draft boards. I see him picked as high as number 4 to the Falcons. He is getting a lot of Danielle Hunter comps. So that is my pick for the Buffalo Bills at pick number 30.
Yeah, that's what I've seen as well. They've had the same type of career, and they have the same body type and everything. So it's a lot of potential, but I could definitely see it. His size, his speed. Danielle is one of the top edge rushers in the league. So being compared to him right off the bat,
high praise.
It's big. Oh yeah, and for the Bills to get him, I think that's a piece that they desperately need. They need to get some more pressure up front.
Yep.
And they're right there. I think the Bills are one of those teams that are right there. And to bring more defensive pressure would definitely give them that shot that they need. But at 31, the Chiefs. This is now an interesting pick because they need tackles, they need centers, or center, whatever. I would go Creed Humphrey here. I'm going Creed Humphrey here. I think it just protect Patty. I mean, that's all you really need to. All I need to say about that is give him something solid up front. You don't need him running for 500 yards behind the line of scrimmage to attempt to win you a game. So give another solid piece right in the middle. You can get more tackles a little bit later, and you should be Chiefs will be right back where they want to be.
Yeah. So for me, the Buccaneers, we've heard it 73,000 times this offseason that they've re-signed all 22 starters, or all 22 starters are coming back. Well, yes, in the short term is good. However, a lot of those starters are starting to get up there in age, including Tom Brady. No, I'm not picking a quarterback.
Why not?
Earlier in the exercise that we did, I believe I had Levi Owuzurike from Washington, the defensive lineman, going to them. I think with the changes that we've seen and players dropping, I think I am going to go with Jamin Davis, linebacker from Kentucky. Levante David, yes, they re-signed him, but he's getting old. Devin White has looked good at times, but sites and analyticals like PFF, not a big fan of Devin White. So I think this is a depth pick. This is a future pick. Jamin Davis fits their linebacker core, flying all over the field. So Jamin Davis was the pick for the Buccaneers. Looking at the first round, just going to go recap it pick by pick. We went Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Kyle Pitts. You guys can read it here. Penny Sewell fell, Jamar Chase fell, Micah Parsons to the Broncos. I know Dylan's going to like that one, obviously.
Always does.
Should have mocked him. Kellen Mond in the first round. Rashawn Slater falling, and then the two Alabama receivers falling as well is very...
that was the biggest one for me, is Devonta Smith, not picking him somewhere. Falling to the Raiders kind of was a little tough for me, but it is, sometimes that's how it works out. I mean, that could be how it actually happens draft day in 11 days now?
Yep.
Next Thursday?
Yep.
So we'll see. I mean, it could easily happen, or I could see him going to the Chargers, or, I mean, you could pick him anywhere. There's a lot of good talent, a lot of depth in this this class too. You could get I think the top 4 to 5 rounds, you could get a lot of good players in a lot of good spots. So seeing a few players fall, a few players rise, really.
Six Alabama players in the first round.
Not surprised by that. They're solid. They were solid, like they were key players their whole career in Bama. Obviously, Devonta Smith, Heisman, Waddle. They've had probably one of the best wide receiving cores in college football the last 4 years, maybe more.
See how it translates to the NFL.
Yeah,
but
I mean that's the ultimate goal, is how they translate. I mean, they've been pretty good so far. Obviously, rookies, you don't expect Justin Jefferson type numbers every time, but I mean, I think they'll be solid players for years to come.
Yeah.
And looking at this draft, I mean, there's a lot of potential in this draft that they could, all 32 players, I feel like this year look like they can be in the league for at least a little while. So I think the mock draft went pretty well. A couple players fell, a couple players move up. Again, no trades. Just something that we don't really need to do, is not realistic, because we could go
to project them.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, the Patriots are going to trade up to 4. Well, what are they going to give them? Like, I don't want to go through
Cam
all
Newton, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe before he lost the
Came
Super
out
Bowl.
of college.
That too.
All right, so that was mock draft 2.0. Look at that. That many. Again, we did our Packers specific 7-round mock earlier in the day, so you can check that out on Twitter. Again, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube, like on Facebook, interact with us. Just let us know, who do you want your favorite team to pick?
Yeah.
Who do you want your favorite team to avoid? Like I said, I can tell you, I would prefer them not to pick Creed Humphrey or an interior lineman in the end of the first round, but I can tell you, Carlos wants him to pick Landon Dickerson at 29. So that is his player who he wants. He also has a sleeper wide receiver, but we'll save that for another time. We'll give you his sleeper wide receiver.
Okay,
Maybe
I'm interested in this.
on the Twitter machine. But what else you got for the folks before we sign off, Brock?
Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, everything that any social media, we pretty much have it. Share us with your friends, family, whatever. We love interacting with you guys and the fans. I think we drop some knowledge sometimes. We're not wrong ever. So
Ever.
it's always good to listen to us. So if you need help with who you think your team should draft, we'll give you the insight. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the draft. You're excited for the draft.
Favorite
Do you
time
have
of
the
the
day
year.
off? Do you have the day off?
That schedule's not out, but I will have all the days off.
It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm off Thursday, 100%. So I'll be watching that first round, no doubt. You guys will be live tweeting it throughout the draft.
Darn
Absolutely.
Skippy.
So make sure you follow us for that. See our reactions to primarily the Packers pick or whoever surprises us. You know,
the only thing
there's always that one that there's just why they draft him. You know,
we do everything better than Kuiper and McShay, with the exception of one thing.
Don't have the hair.
We do not have Mel Kiper's glorious head of hair.
Oh, I was right.
You were right.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's just one of those things where Mel's gonna have us. He'll be buried in his grave and still have that slick back, just Sex Panther. Yeah, not quite.
Almost.
Not quite.
Bald gang. Hashtag
Yep.
bald gang. Bald gang.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. That being said, guys, thanks for watching. Like I said, make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time, as we always end it, a little bit of.
Are we go Pack going?
Yes, we're gonna fucking go Pack go.
Go Pack go. Oh, shit.
Idiot.
Dude.